March 6, 2023. Please rise for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance. Father, as we begin our meeting, we ask you to guide us with your wisdom so that we may have the ability to judge what is important, meaningful, and purposeful. We also ask for the gift of understanding and the ability to be good decision makers. We thank you for the opportunity to represent the people of North Ridgeville and for all the blessings within our community. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Swink.
Here.
Boots. Here. Havens. Here. Winkle. Here. Haywood.
Here.
DeVries. Here. Jacobs.
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
Search Director. Law Director.
Here.
Engineer.
Here.
Finance Director.
Here.
Third Council. Here.
Tonight, under the approval of minutes, we have the city council meeting minutes dated February 21st, 2023. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, those minutes are approved as originally submitted. We also have before us this evening the Records Commission meeting minutes dated December 15th, 2022. The Planning Commission meeting minutes dated February 14th, 2023, and the Civil Service Commission meeting minutes dated February 15th, 2023. Up next is our lobby session. I will open the lobby session in a moment to allow an opportunity for the general public to address City Council and the administration regarding any matters pertaining to the general affairs of the city of North Ridgeville. As per our normal routine, I ask that anybody wishing to speak from the podium and begin by stating your name and address for the record, and you will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. So I do have one written submission this evening, Mr. Baumgartner. Again, if you could please state your full name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name's Robert Baumgartner, 6327 Stony Ridge Road. All right, the last time you guys had your meeting, I was here, I was talking about the noise ordinance. Tonight, I really want to, understand, Dennis, that you're starting something to basically evaluate the potential for changing something. I just want to talk about the health effects of noise exposure, especially at the level that I've been at. So to back it up, over 2 years, there's been construction going on right in my backyard on this Ryan Homes development. All right, so here are some of the impacts of mental health from continuous noise exposure. Unwanted sounds, they can be frequent, loud, and they can trigger anxiety and stress. Imagine that. Continued exposure, they increase your sensitivity to stress. And then people may feel irritable, on edge, or frustrated, and maybe even angry, especially if they can't control that. So I want you to think about that. 2 years, 2 constant years that I've been dealing with at least 14 hours of noise from construction equipment and from people building houses. 2 years. It's 14 hours is ridiculous. Let's talk about some of the physical effects, okay? So let's talk about pregnancy. There was a study in Canada, preeclampsia, condition that causes high blood pressure during pregnancy. It's more common among pregnant people exposed to higher levels of noise pollution. They've done a study of that. We've been passing an emergency resolution for a place to store poop. But, we got a health crisis, really, when you look at it, 14 hours. It's ridiculous, 14 hours a day. What can we do about it? Hey, maybe we can impose higher fine for breaking the noise ordinance, because it's very frequent where these people start up early or they'll continue late. They'll put their headlamps on, they'll continue pounding into the night on these roofs, interrupt sleep. It's incredibly frustrating. All right, so please, I understand that you have to do your searches, your surveys, your research, your door knocks, whatever you got to do. Okay, but hold these people accountable. Number one, give them a higher fine if they're going to break these noise ordinances. And number two, let's reduce that. I'm asking for 12 hours as a reasonable amount, 7 to 7, not 7 to 9. And really, if you look at it, more than 8 hours a day can cause permanent damage over a long period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baumgartner. Anybody else here this evening who wishes to address council or the administration? All right, seeing none, the lobby session is closed. We will move on to administrator's report and begin with you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under first readings tonight, we have T25, which is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an addendum to the previously passed cooperative agreement with the city of Avon. Going to ask for that motion or that addendum to be passed with the emergency clause, so we can use that to move forward with our roundabout project at Mills, Stone, and Avenue. T26 is a resolution authorizing a donation of 184 batting helmets to Play It Again Sports. Kevin Bruce, our Park and Rec director, has asked for us to pass that with the emergency clause as well. So those helmets can be refurbished and donated them to city leagues that could use the helmets. As they are no longer fit for our purpose. Also, under second readings, under T20 is about the installation of the new playground at South Central Park. There seems to be some concern about ordering the equipment and getting it in time for installation. So once again, Kevin Flores has asked for that to be moved forward tonight as well. And then under third readings, T9, those bike route signs, that one, it has an April 1st deadline for ODOT, and so we'll need to pass that with the emergency clause in order for that to be effective before ODOT's deadline. And then moving on to master plan ready to listen workshops. So we had some in-person sessions on the 28th, 1st, and 2nd. And now we're moving into virtual workshops that are taking place on March 8th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. and on March 10th from 12 to 1:30 p.m. If you're interested in participating, visit the North Ridgeville Ready website at ridgevilleready.com. Those Ready to Listen workshops went really well. We were pleased with the number of people who attended those, and we got some good feedback. So now we're offering the virtual workshops so that way we can get some additional feedback. Remember, the more people who participate, the better our plan will be overall. And then Coffee and Conversation is scheduled for next week, Thursday, March 9th. It is a special edition that is taking place at night. It is 6 to 7 o'clock at the Senior Center. And again, we're moving the location because of the renovations that are going on in council chambers. And at this point, I move to go into executive session to discuss the hiring of public personnel.
Okay. Been moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing public personnel. Clerk, please call the roll.
Right?
Yes.
Bruce? Yes. Evans? Yes. Winkle? Yes. Haley?
Yes.
DeVries? Yes. Jacobs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, this time we will adjourn into executive session.
We're gonna go into this break room again. I know it's tight, but you know.
in open session. Mr. Mayor, please continue with your report.
That's the end of my report. Thank you.
All right. We will move on to the engineer.
Mr. President, I don't have any updates today. Thank you.
Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. Before council tonight is T27, which is a resolution authorizing the execution of then and now certificates as stated in the attachment to the resolution, the Exhibit A. This is to pay 2 invoices to Green Creek Bioenergy, also known as Quasar, for sludge hauling at the wastewater treatment plant. Also before council tonight is T28, an ordinance amending appropriations for 2023. The bulk of these amendments here are for the custodial services contract, which council adopted during the February 6th meeting. In addition to that, we are asking to appropriate the One Ohio opioid funds that have been received to date, so that we can look at some potential programs and try and get started with that. I'd like to ask council to consider adopting this legislation tonight with the emergency clause, so that the finance department can have the resources available to meet our obligations. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Finance Director. Please note that the Director of Finance has also provided council with the January 2023 financial report. Council is also in receipt of the January 2023 Police Department report, as well as the February 2023 Building Department report. We do have one council committee report on the agenda this evening. Clerk, if you could please read the Safety Committee report.
Safety Committee report dated February 21st, 2023. The committee reviewed and considered T4-2023. The committee tabled T-4-2023 for further discussion.
Mr. President, move to accept.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded by Swank to accept the Safety Committee report as submitted. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. All right, there is no correspondence or old business on tonight's agenda. Next is new business. And there's no new business written on tonight's agenda. So we will move on to recess.
Mr. President, move to dispense with recess.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded by Boost to dispense with recess this evening. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. All right, we'll dispense with recess and move on to first readings. First, we have T25. Clerk, please read T25.
T25-2023, ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Ridgeville to enter into an addendum to the previously passed cooperative agreement between the city of North Ridgeville and the city of Avon. Mr. President, sorry.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
I think you were there for a second. Move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It's moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to dispense with the second and third reading, T25. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President, this is to clear up some legal issues that may or may not exist with the moving forward of the peanut roundabout. Actually, they do exist. It's just to clear up who's the lead agency involved in this. And you know, as we're trying to take that property on the northeast corner by eminent domain, you know, that is in the city of Avon, and we're just clarifying with this addendum that we are the lead agency and we have every right to do so.
Mr. Mayor, are there any additional comments or questions? It was moved by the mayor, seconded by Winkle to dispense with the second and third reading for T25. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause so that way we can get this project moving forward after a long standstill.
Second.
It's moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to add the emergency clause to T25 for the reasons just stated by the mayor. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to adopt T25 with the emergency clause in place. Do we have any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Boost. Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle.
Yes.
Haywick,
yes,
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 6046-2023.
T26.
T26-2023, a resolution authorizing the donation of 184 batting helmets to Play It Again Sports located in North Olmsted.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
I make a motion to dispense with the second and third readings. Second.
It was moved by Booth, seconded by Avens to dispense with the second and third readings for T26. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
I had a discussion with the Parks Director as well. Play It Again Sports has a program where they make donations to intercity sports programs. And so these helmets will go towards that project. Our concern is that they do have to be refurbished prior to being disseminated to the programs, and we want to make sure that they make it for the baseball, softball season. So that's the reason why we were going to ask for the suspension of the bylaw and the emergency. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. Are there any additional comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Sweat.
out of curiosity, I don't know if the mayor can answer this or not, but how do we know that? Because they're a for-profit business, I know that they do donate, but how can we be sure that they're actually donating these 184 helmets? Will we get some type of a receipt?
I don't believe that we'll get a receipt, but this is, we have the information from Play It Again Sports that they are donating these helmets. So we know the path that they're taking from us through them after they get refurbished to then the city leagues. So we have, was there a document that said that, Dennis, do you remember?
I don't recall, Mr. President, but I do know in talking with Kevin Frugarus that this is an established program that they have. It's not something they're just doing off the cuff. And so, they do the refurbishing for that cost. And again, to the inner city program. So I asked, in fact, I talked to Kevin this evening just to make sure that I understood that these would be given and not sold.
Right.
And even if for some reason they're not all provided to the programs right now, they're still in the category of being given. And so they will be given away at some point, again, through this established program that they have.
Thank you.
Any additional comments? All right, so again, it was moved by Booth and seconded by Avens to dispense with the second and third readings for T26. All in favor, say yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All opposed, say no.
Mr. President, make a motion to adopt. Second. Mr. President, make a motion to add the emergency for the reasons already stated.
Second.
It was moved by Booth and seconded by Swain to add emergency clause to T26 for the reasons stated earlier. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor, say yes. Yes. All opposed, say no. It was then moved by Booth, seconded by Avens to adopt T26 with the emergency clause in place. Do we have any final comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Haywick,
yes,
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes resolution number 1586-2023.
T27.
T27-2023, a resolution authorizing the execution of then and now certificates by the city fiscal officer and the payment of amounts due for various purchase orders.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. DeVries.
motion to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by DeVries, seconded by Avens to dispense with the second and third readings for T27. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. DeVries.
motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, motion to add the emergency clause for the reasons stated earlier by the Director of Finance.
Second.
It was moved by DeVries and seconded by Avens to add the emergency clause to T27 for the reasons stated earlier by the Director of Finance. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. It was moved by DeVries and seconded by Avens to adopt T27 with the emergency clause in place. This time, are there any final comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Haywick,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes resolution number 1587-2020.
P28,
P28-2023, an ordinance amending ordinance number 6031-2022 of the city of North Ridgeville, Ohio, providing appropriations for the period commencing January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2020.
Mr. President,
yes, Mr. DeVries.
motion to dispense with the second and third reading. Second.
It was moved by DeVries and seconded by Awig to dispense with the second and third readings for T28. Are there any comments or questions this time? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. DeVries.
motion to adopt. Second. President, motion to add the emergency clause for the reasons stated earlier by the Director of Finance. Second.
It was moved by DeVries and seconded by Awig to add the emergency clause to T28 for the reasons stated earlier in the meeting by the Director of Finance. On the emergency clause, all in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no. It was moved by DeVries and seconded by Awig to adopt T28 with the emergency clause in place. Are there any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Booth. Yes. Havens.
Yes.
Winkle.
Yes.
Haywick.
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 6047-2023.
T29,
T29-2023, an ordinance amending ordinance number 6041-2023, which amended NRCO chapter 264 Civil Service Commission, providing additional vacation time to police lateral hires.
Mr. President,
yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to dispense with the second and third readings for T29. Are there any comments at this time?
Mr. President,
Mr. Mayor.
if you guys remember that we just recently took care of this and made those changes. What we have discovered was that we do have a lateral transfer that was hired and started on January 2nd. And we wanted to make sure that officer also fell under these terms. So we're introducing the idea of making this retroactive back to January 1st. And so that way we can cover that new employee who should be treated the same way as everybody else that would be hired for this part forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any additional comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Swink.
if I can ask the mayor, was there somebody hired in December or was that guy hired in January?
He was sworn in December, and his first day of work was January 2nd.
Because I recall in the last, we talked about retroactive, making it retroactive and you didn't think it was possible. We're good now?
No, what we were talking about the last time was going back a full year, so going from 23 to 22. This is just going from 23, still in 23. So we're not switching years. So that's okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Evans.
from my personal experience, this is important for us to do. Because I'm familiar with a couple of Cleveland police officers who are fairly new to that particular department who are looking for new jobs. So it's important that we do this so we can attract them very well trained and not good officers.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Are there any additional comments or questions? So again, it was moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to dispense with the second and third readings for T29. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause for the reasons stated earlier.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to add the emergency clause to T29 for the reasons stated earlier by the mayor. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. It was then moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to adopt T29 with the emergency clause in place. Do you have any final comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Booth.
Yes.
Havens.
Yes.
Winkle.
Yes.
Haywick.
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Which carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 6048-2023.
And moving on to second readings. Up first, we have team 20.
P20 2023 ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Snyder Recreation Incorporated for the installation of a new playground located at South Central Park not to exceed $275,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Booth.
make a motion to dispense with third reading. Second.
It was moved by Booth, second by Avon to dispense with the third reading for T 20. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Storm.
it's my understanding that the playground that's currently there is in, not great shape. I know that you said that we're gonna have an issue ordering the equipment. Is that gonna affect the current equipment that's sitting there?
It's gonna be gone.
I mean, like, are they gonna take that down because it's
At some
falling
point,
apart?
at some point they will, but I'm not sure the schedule of removing that equipment that's there.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr.
it's my
Booth.
understanding that plans are now that the new playground equipment will replace the current playground equipment and should be, the timetable now is to be done by June.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. Are there any additional comments or questions?
The other reason, Mr. President, that the mayor stated earlier in his remarks is that there is some concerns, but we don't get this moving now, that there may be some delay in the supplies, and we could not meet that June deadline. So that's the reason why we're going to move this forward now as we get started.
Very good. Any additional comments or questions? So again, the motion was made by Bruce and seconded by Avens to dispense with a third reading for T 20. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt. Second. Mr. President, move to add the emergency for the reasons already stated. Second.
It was moved by Bruce and seconded by Avens to add the emergency clause to T 20 for the reasons stated previously. The emergency clause alone, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. It was then moved by Bruce and seconded by Avens to adopt T 20 with the emergency clause in place. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Frank,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle. Yes. Haywick,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 6049 2023.
Right, moving on to T 21.
T21 2023, an ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of North Ridgeville such that a portion of partial number 07-00-014-106-007 located at 34275 Lorraine Road be rezoned from B3 Highway Commercial District to R1 Resident District.
T 22.
T22 2023, ordinance repealing chapter 1284 off-street parking and loading requirements, chapter 1290 commercial and industrial access drives, and section 1294.08 lighting laws, and creating a new chapter 1285 parking, loading, and lighting in North Ridgeville zoning code.
T 23.
T23 2023, resolution approving the city of North Ridgeville to participate in 5 proposed new national opioid settlements and or the state of Ohio's interstate allocation agreements.
Right, then, under third reading, we have T 9.
T9 2023, ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Ridgeville, Ohio to enter into an agreement between the Ohio Department of Transportation and the city of North Ridgeville for sign installation and maintenance.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause as ODOT had the deadline of April 1st. And in order for us to meet that, we need the emergency clause.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to add the emergency clause to T 9 in order to meet ODOT's deadline. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to adopt T 9 with the emergency clause in place. Any final comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Haywick,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 6050-2023.
T11.
T11-2023, an ordinance amending sections 1268.02, 1270.02, and 1272.02 of the North Ridgeville zoning code to update use regulations for car washes.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Ravens.
move to approve.
Second.
Adopt.
Adopt,
Yes.
excuse me.
It's moved by Avens and seconded by Swank to adopt T11. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
Comment that I would have is this something that we might want to add with urgency to, so we don't have any, 30, possibilities under 30 days?
I don't think so they were allowed to add.
Okay.
Are there any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
DeVries. Yes. Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 6051-2023.
T13.
T13-2023, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Ridgeville to enter into a contract with CT Consultants Incorporated, a professional engineering firm to conduct a no feasible alternative study of secondary treatment bypasses not to exceed $70,000.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Winkle.
move to adopt.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded by Awing to adopt T13. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Haywick,
Yes.
DeVries.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 6052-2023.
As for meeting announcements, the next regular city council meeting will be held on Monday, March 20th, 2023 at 7 p.m. here in the police department training room. As a reminder to the public who will be attending that meeting, please enter the police department at its main entrance and then follow the signs up at the second floor of the police department training room. Do any council members or members of the administration have any final comments or questions this evening? Right, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.